When it comes to unlocking the mystery of a longer life, misinformation abounds. From fountains of youth to anti-aging nostrums. But I've found that the answer is a lot simpler than the myth. If we set up our environment so that it's easy to eat fresh whole foods, move naturally every day, socialize, be part of a community, and live with a sense of purpose, we are going to live a longer life. And Get Joy and I are finding the same principles are important for our dogs. The main things driving our life expectancy is what we eat, nutrition. And that's going to be a theme of our conversation here because the number one thing we can do is to improve your nutrition.
We feature stomach-sensitive kibble, and then she gets a sardine a day, and she doesn't like vegetables. I tried that.
Can you name 3 ingredients that are in the stomach-sensitive kibble?
No. Because my husband buys her food, I just feed her. I have no idea.
I cannot name any ingredients in their food at all.
I know the main one is bison. Bison, and I'm not sure what else. I probably should know it, but I don't.
In studying the longest lived people in the world, you see that most of the things that favor human health and longevity have an evolutionary root. The food that humans have evolved with for years and years, most of it's fresh. Almost none of it is processed.
While it's simple for us to say, yeah, I need to eat fresh fruits and vegetables and so forth, but I'm going to reach in this bag of processed food for my own dog, there's a little bit of a disconnect there. If I have a rough week at work and I'm just eating processed food all week, I'm not only tired, but I just feel terrible. Well, our pets feel the exact same thing.
My name is Elizabeth Halvey.
I'm John Halvey.
And we have 4 Portuguese water dogs, Otis, Rooney, Willow, and Charlotte.
Otis is the oldest. He's 10, and he's sort of more assertive. He'll speak on behalf of the other dogs, as crazy as that sounds.
And Rooney is 9. She's very sweet, very, very in tune to what Otis is doing. They are 2 peas in a pod.
Rooney's either asleep or she thinks it's the Iditarod, and there's no in-between with her.
Willow is 5, and she has no concept of personal space. The baby, Charlotte, is 2. She's the tiniest Portuguese water dog, I think, that I've ever seen.
I was the general counsel of the biggest hedge fund in the world. Traveled all the time for 25, 30 years, certainly. When you travel all the time, you eat what you can eat. You eat on planes, you eat in conference rooms. You don't really work out, you don't really do all those types of things. I had a kidney stone, and I went into the hospital, and they came out and said, your latest scan says you have liver cancer.
Otis immediately jumped up on the couch and put his head right on John's abdomen and just sat. No noise, no nothing, just sat. Otis knew he needed some love and support. We thought about what we were eating and where it came from because, we were trying to give his body the best chance it had to fight. A couple of months ago, Rooney was in one of the windows, and I opened the door for them to go outside into the yard, and she didn't move. And I thought there's something wrong with this dog. They did a ultrasound and found a tumor on her spleen. And then it came back that it was this particular type of cancer, which is very common and very, very aggressive. She is currently on an immunosuppression drug that John is also on. So they now share cancer diagnosis and medication.
One of the things we're finding in human longevity is the importance of the gut. Our gut has about 100 trillion bacteria, weighs about 8 pounds. That organ doesn't really consume fat or a protein. It consumes one thing, at least the healthy bacteria, fiber. And as long as you're feeding your gut fiber, it's producing something called short-chain fatty acids, which when it moves into your bloodstream, lowers inflammation Inflammation is the root of every age-related disease. It fine-tunes your immune system, and it helps produce the hormones, the feel-good hormones, the joy hormones, if you will. So paying attention to the gut is so important. Is fiber important to dogs as well?
It's extremely important, and for the exact same reasons it's important for us to take in fiber. It affects things like the immune system and cognition and so forth.
Just like humans.
Exactly like humans.
To help Rooney out with her treatment, we are looking at her food, what she's eating, again, where it's coming from, how much, even looking into the treats that we give. John and I think of the dogs as our family. Their health and well-being is very important to us. It always has been, but certainly since Rooney's diagnosis, we've really put that to the forefront. And you know what? I'm happy to do it. And if it helps them and makes them healthier and happier, that's what I'm here for. I'm their mom, and that's what I do. We've started to supplement the kibble that they eat with some home-cooked food. Eggs and turkey and pumpkin and vegetables. So they're eating more and more fresh or freeze-dried type foods.
Come on, go. Go get your food, go.
There's lots of different tracks that people can take. We emphasize just getting started. Integrate wholesome ingredients into, say, your processed food, your kibbles, if you're not going to shift. It could be organ treats, it could be freeze-dried raw, it could be a little bit of fresh meals, but move forward and start. Doing what works for the home, what works for your budget, to find that, and that's a great place to start.
Do you pay attention to what you feed?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What's in your dog food?
Pretty high protein, low grains unless they're like whole grains.
Do you let her eat artificial ingredients?
No.
Is it fresh, frozen, natural?
Freeze-dried, and then I put a little bit of raw on top.
Do you actually read the label?
Yeah, you can see it. It's chicken, peas, carrots.
Fantastic.
There's some grains in it.
When I went through vet school, not to age myself, but fresh foods just weren't available. But as with everything in medicine, we see what works, and fresh foods have definitely come to the forefront. So it was convenient for us, right, to have a big bag of dog food available where we can go in and scoop it out. And given people's busy lifestyle, they did that, and then they were told that that was appropriate for their dog. And that was the prevalent thinking.
Kind of reminds me of when we were kids, we were told that Captain Crunch and Sugar Puffs were good for kids. And it turns out scooping that out wasn't also good.
They're delicious.
It was delicious. And it was convenient for mom. But,
Right.
Now we have a childhood obesity problem. Yeah. Speaking of which, 42% of Americans are obese. That's almost half of us. And I don't think we got there because we're lack discipline or we're somehow bad people. We just sort of ate the food around us. And what's the situation for dogs?
59% of our dogs are obese.
Do you think this processed dog food is contributing significantly to this 59% obesity?
An emphatic yes.
Having optimal and really good gut health is really the main focus of what we're all about as a company. We try to make sure that every product that we think about delivers incredible value to the animal's overall gut health and longevity path. Wholesome ingredients, healthy, lean proteins, high fiber vegetables like a broccoli, a cauliflower, carrots. Getting your carbohydrates, like smart, simple carbohydrates. A lot of them have anti-inflammation principles, anti-cancerous principles. It's what an amazing foundation that they all have.
I think what I'm getting from all of this talk about diet, that if you're feeding your dog fresh food that contains protein, carbohydrates, fats, and fiber, all in one, you can start to focus on how often, what quantity, which is really important. Can you unpack that a little bit about how to determine the right amount to feed our dogs?
You don't want to feed until they're satiated, because my lab would be big as a house right now. The amount your dog needs, though, is going to vary dramatically from when they're a puppy to adulthood to being a senior, also based on their activity level. There are breed variations as well. So it's going to take a little bit of research on the owner's part. They have caloric requirements, so it's up to us to regulate the portion and intake.
I think for the change in how we're approaching their care has been a lot of little things, but again, like with John, lots of little things have a great effect.
If you look yourself in the mirror and you say, I have to make this, systemic change, it gets too daunting. Small changes, small steps.
If you make the decision a few days or a week beforehand, that's already in your freezer, and the default is reaching for healthy food for your dog, you don't have to worry about it on a day-to-day. You are creating a food environment where your dog can thrive. Its chances of cancer are dropping. Its chances of premature death are dropping. As we found that when your dog lives longer, so too will you.
For sure.
Because dogs help us live longer.
There's no question.
Coming up on Aging on Paws,
a simple walk is so much more important and more meaningful than probably most people think.
She loves to sniff, so I take her into the park. She gets to sniff around, meet some other dogs.
Sniffing is really part of their routine. New smells and scents is so healthy for them.
we often overlook the importance of cognitive health. The best way for dogs' brains to get exercise is by socially interacting with other dogs.
Yes.